Greetings, Galactic Jedis, freedom fighters. Welcome to my Saturday night, I guess what I would call an interstellar and interplanetary update. We know about the secret space programs very generally, but do we know the origin of the secret space programs and how they were formed? And what these off world civilizations or breakaway groups, as they are known, have been doing throughout the Milky Way? No, we don't much. But tonight, guys, we're going to go really, really deep. So, are you guys ready to dive deep into a subject that has been suppressed, that is probably even controversial, all right, regarding the cosmic narrative of our time? So, tonight, with this transmission that I'm about to give you guys, we're going to uncover the hidden history of the Dark Fleet, the first German breakaway group, its time travel origins as it's connected to the Draco Empire of millions of years ago, and how they actually used advanced AI and cyborg armies to enslave worlds across different sectors of the Milky Way, misrepresenting us, of course, right? Well, we're also going to discover how the Galactic Federation of Worlds, as it was then known before the 2016-2022 infiltration, responded by traveling back in time to help build Solar Warden, which became a multidimensional defense fleet that was created to counter the Draco manipulation and protect the Earth's timeline. We're also going to discuss the Nazi breakaway civilization and their off-world expansion, how the Draco seeded the Dark Fleet in Earth's past using time travel. Yes, they were using a lot of time travel throughout the breakaway programs, and how they advanced or enslaved rather Type 1 and Type 2 civilizations using AI and cybernetics across different sectors of the Milky Way. We're also going to talk about the Galactic Alliance role in building Solar Warden through temporal operations. We're also going to talk about massive world battles that turned the tide in favor of the light, and the return of the 24 admirals, as they are known as Jedi admirals, of Solar Warden, and the rise of Atlas, Three-Eye Atlas, all happening at the same time as we are now in the final phase of the Earth's liberation. All right, disclosure, liberation, and the fall of the corrupt Federation factions is also going to be discussed. And also, before I go into the presentation, my friends, bear in mind that this is not science fiction, okay? It's a multidimensional war for the soul of humanity, and it is happening right now. For those that don't know me, my name is Ishmael Perez, and I'm the author of those two amazing books behind me, The Secret Government, Invisible Architects, and of course, Our Cosmic Origin, both which restore valuable information in preparation for the ascension of the planet back to the Earth. And I forget the date. I sure did. Today is October the 3rd, 2025. And yes, my friends, we are still on a steadily timeline trajectory. I could visualize some of you guys going, yes, we know we're still on a steady timeline trajectory. Indeed, we are. I also want to extend gratitude for all of you for being here, for having this thirst for knowledge, for wanting to partake in this collective awakening. Not to mention, I also want to extend gratitude to Starcadian, who is in the house. Thank you so much for being my moderator. And again, for those that are interested in learning about the different stages of ascension, I do have several courses pertaining to the different levels of understanding, Ascension's Basics, Ascension 2.0, and of course, my new course, Ascension 3.0, all through my website or cosmicorigin.com. And for those that want to get the whole scoop, the entire multiverse history, going back to 998 billion years ago, and you want to learn about the different advanced types of civilizations, and of course, the different interdimensional councils, and much more, Our Cosmic Origin, a mind-bending course. Okay, with no further ado, let's get right into it. Okay, so before I share some of the information that has not yet been revealed by any whistleblower, okay, or anybody that has been involved in these breakaway societies, it's very important to understand that long before the rise of human civilization as we know it here in our world, the galaxy was scared by massive conflicts known as the Galactic Wars, okay? And as revealed in my book, Or Cosmic Origin, these wars were taking place in ancient times, okay, millions and millions of years ago. Now, there were these ancient interstellar battles that were waged between highly advanced civilizations, typically of a type 2 status. If you don't know what the type 2, take my course on cosmic origin. Among the dominant powers of this galactic war were, of course, the expanding draconian empire that we call the evil reptilians, right? A ruthless and hierarchical race that was also being used and dominated by AI, all right? And their opponents were, of course, the Galactic Federation of Worlds, as they were then known, which is a coalition of star nations that were committed to preserving free will and spiritual sovereignty across the entire universe. Well, as the wars raged for millions of years, the Draco began to anticipate an inevitable outcome that was marked by a defeat at the hands of the Federation. Well, and which took place during the first Atlantean era, when they were still in their golden age, by the way. That's when the Federation of Worlds was cleaning house all throughout the galaxy, okay? Well, aware of this brute force, knowing that this brute force alone, as being exercised by the Draco, would not guarantee their survival, right, or influence, the Draco initiated a long-term, highly strategic program involving time travel, genetic manipulation, and interdimensional infiltration. Of course, they were implementing advanced super AI to achieve this end. Well, their plan centered on a unique opportunity that was hidden deep within the Earth's potential timelines. Okay. The Draco knew that at a certain period in time, the genetic experiment would reach completion on Earth, who has always been known as the what? The genetic and spiritual nexus, holding within its evolving species the capacity for unparalleled genetic royalty, which is us, okay? A living record of galactic DNA strands, right? Spiritual lineages and cosmic potential that was unfolding on the Earth during the 20th century. Well, in particular, the Draco foresaw that a hybrid bloodline of human and reptilian genetics, once fully developed, could actually serve as a powerful vehicle for their continued influence long after their military defeat during the Golden Age of Atlantis. To set this plan in motion, what the Draco did is they called upon their allies from Aldebaran, right? These are these negative Nordics, blonde hair, blue eye Nordics that actually evolved out of Lyra, who betrayed the law of one and betrayed the one infinite creator and decided to align with the Draco and, became the Orion Empire, right? For those that have taken my course or cosmic origin. You know what I'm talking about. Well, this Nordic race from Aldebaran, with both spiritual and technological prowess, but whose loyalties were, of course, divided because, some of the Aldebarans did not join the Draco. They were actually retaining and holding to the one infinite creator. Okay. So under draconian direction, a group of Aldebarans were actually tasked with a time travel mission to journey forward to a point in time into Earth's future when this hybrid bloodline would actually have matured in the region known today as Germany. Okay. According to Draco calculations, as they were involved in a type of, or as they were involving a type of looking glass technology back then, 450,000 or 300,000 years ago, was able to see into the early 20th century, okay, which is a moment in history when humanity was awakening rapidly, but still susceptible to influence. So what made this time period critical was the genetic culmination of Atlantean infiltration through Enki, about 100,000 years ago, okay? So thousands of years earlier, during the fall of Atlantis, the Draco agents had began embedding their genetics into human civilization through selected bloodlines and what I call Luciferian priesthoods, right? Well, these genetic seeds carried forward through millennia, right, were now reaching activation threshold as humanity entered the industrial and technological age, and most importantly, the photon belt. We were beginning to enter the photon belt. right? So, upon arrival in this timeline, the Aldebarans that were traveling from 300,000 years ago during the peak of the Galactic Wars, knowing that they were losing the war against the Federation, right? The negative Nordics, well, arriving in 1920s, early 1920s, worked through a secret society and with occultic orders that included groups such as the Vril Society, to locate and influence key individuals carrying the activated hybrid codes. These bloodlines, seen by the Draco as genetic royalty, contain dormant capacities for multidimensional awareness, telepathy, and cosmic memory. Well, all essential for what? They're essential traits for either enslavement or empowerment, depending on who controlled them, right? Well, the hidden agenda was to initiate a superior type program, a metaphysical genetic operation that would rewrite the trajectory of humanity. So, through influence over scientific advancements, social engineering, and elite bloodline guidance, the Draco Aldebaran Alliance, coming from the past 300,000 years ago, aimed to steer the evolution of mankind from behind the veil. Well, this included seeding advanced technology, controlling narratives through secret projects, and reinstating genetic enhancements through cybernetics to shape the emergence of a new elite group of warriors that were aligned with their interests. Okay. I wish I had some water. I'm so thirsty. Thank you. Ultimately, this plan was not only about survival, it was about control, okay? By embedding themselves into the very genetic architecture of human or modern humans, particularly those with Atlantean Draco heritage, right? The Dracos sought to ensure their legacy would live on, even after their physical and interstellar defeat 300,000 years, almost about 300,000 years ago, by the Galactic Federation around 300,000 years ago. Well, yet this strategy is not without its flaws. As more people awaken to their multidimensional nature, the potential for these genetic codes to be reclaimed by the light instead of controlled by shadowing groups grows exponentially. The same royal DNA library that the Draco sought to manipulate is now becoming, or had become since the 1940s, as I will explain in a little bit, a tool for galactic, you could say, for retaking galactic control from the Federation. Okay. Well, the war, it seems, has moved from the stars, right? Apparently, now that we've won the war, as I will be revealing shortly, into the very essence of human identity, which in galactic history was marked as the final battle. That's why the final battle takes place here, guys. Okay. The Vril Society, which was an ultra secret group within the Thule Society. All right, we're talking about the origins of the Dark Fleet here and how it all happened. Okay. Officially founded in pre-war Germany, was a secretive organization combining elements of occultism, mysticism, and advanced theoretical physics. Its members believed in tapping into a cosmic life force known as the Vril, right? This is another form of 0 point energy, right? Which is a form of universal energy that could not only empower the human mind, but also open gateways to other worlds and civilizations. And just like Aleister Crowley, the members of the Vril Society within the Thule Society, or Thule, were very obsessed with the concept of a super race and immortality. Okay, so according to suppressed accounts and whistleblower testimonies, the Vril Society's research eventually led them to establish contact with the same beings that came from the past, time traveling back into the 20th century from the Aldebaran system that were working with the Draco, right? Which is a star located about 65 light years away in the constellation of Taurus. Well, these beings, often described as Nordic-looking extraterrestrials with blonde hair and blue eyes, which were Lyran traders, their origins were in Lyra, millions and millions of years ago, before the first war, right? And then they betrayed the light to side with the Draco. Not all of them, a group of them. Okay, they became the Aldebarans. They were said to possess an advanced civilization that was built on principles of both high technology and, due to their Lyran genetics, telepathic consciousness. Well, the Aldebaran Nordics were not simply benevolent guides. They were a certain faction of their society that were reportedly aligned with the Draco Empire throughout galactic history. Well, this complex alliance mirrored the political entanglement on Earth, on Earth at this time. And this is why we're still dealing with this cabal, okay? Where ideology, power, and ambition often overrode ethics and compassion. By the late 1930s, under the guidance of Maria Orsic and other prominent virile mediums, the society received detailed technical blueprints for anti-gravity aircraft and interdimensional propulsion systems that were directly from the Aldebaran Nordics. Okay, these designs would later, of course, become the prototype for what some insiders believe to be the earliest stages of the first secret space program in modern times. Through a combination of occult ritual, psychic channeling, and early engineering, the Viral Society's efforts helped see the first generation since the fall of Atlantis of advanced aerospace vehicles. So as Germany plunged into war, these projects merged with the SS more conventional weapons research, laying the groundwork for black budget programs, which of course later transferred over into the States, right? Hidden from both the public and most military officials. By the early 1940s, with the assistance of the Aldebarans and, of course, the Draco technology that was given to them, the Nazi regime was said to have launched a mission beyond Earth. And this is where they first established what is known as the Lunar Operating Command, the first off-world base, okay, during that period, which is a secret stronghold on the far side of the moon. And it wasn't easy at first, okay? It wasn't easy at first. When the Nazis were first landing there, their ships were being shot down by the extraterrestrials that were already there, mainly of a negative regressive type, okay, like Greys and Mantis. They were shooting the Nazis down. So what the Nazis did is they partnered up with the bosses, right? Who are the bosses of the Mantis and the Insectoids and the Greys? The Draco, right? The Draco. They powered up with the brute force of the regressives, and under their wing, then the Nazis were able to establish the Lunar Operating Command. Okay, so this base would serve as a launch pad or launch point for further expansion into the solar system, which is a project that was hidden for decades under layers of secrecy, misinformation, and of course, covert operations. These collaborations between the Viral Society, the Aldebaran Nordics, and their Draco allies represents one of the earliest interactions between human civilization and extraterrestrial political structures in modern times. It highlights how advanced beings with their own agendas could actually shape the trajectory of human history, technological development, and even the course of global power, hence Project Paperclip, right? Which is the cabal, the reorganized Nazis that infiltrated America. So in that regard, we were lied to. The Nazis didn't lose the war. They won it covertly. Okay? They won the war covertly. Let's just be real here. The legacy of the Viral Society is often dismissed as a myth or Nazi mysticism. Yet, for many people who are awakened, right, who know the truth, researchers, the evidence of early interstellar contact and secret space development suggests that these events form the foundation of the covert space infrastructure that have been operating in the shadows. And that's why they installed NASA, which is a bunch of lies. Anyways, in recent decades, okay, I want to share with you guys something that perhaps not a lot of people have shared yet. This is regarding the hyperdimensional universe that overlays our third dimensional reality and its connections to, of course, the secret space program's interdimensional operations. Well, as many have revealed within the high level or high cosmic level clearance, is that there exists some sort of a hyperdimensional universe, a vast multidimensional realm that overlaps and interweaves with our own third dimensional reality. While our senses and current mainstream technology are limited in perceiving only the dense material dimension, which is what we call 3D, the hidden hyperspace reality exists in a higher vibrational frequency, containing an intricate web of planets, civilizations, and energetic systems that are invincible to human perception. And of course, our limited scientific instruments, such as the space probes that we use, that are only observing the 9 planets, right? And the asteroid belt and the Kuiper belt and the Oort cloud. But according to these new revelations, my friends, that have come from the secret space program and multiple insiders, this hyperdimensional layer is hosting approximately 48 hidden planets in our own solar system. Yeah, exactly, guys. 48 planets, right? The hyperdimensional layer that overlaps our third dimensional plane in our solar system is registering 48 planets, not 9, 48. I want you guys to really just let that sink in. All operating beyond the constraints of conventional space and time. So only people within cosmic level clearance know about this, right? Anyways, these planets are not merely distant worlds because they're here in our solar system, but are situated in what is referred to as hyperspace reality, which is an interdimensional matrix that coexists with the known universe, but requires advanced technology and consciousness based methods in order to access it. And now, these are a little bit different, okay? This is the hyperdimensional universe that overlaps our third dimensional reality, are a little different than pocket realities, my friends, okay? Well, the secret groups, these breakaway civilizations, right? These human modern secret groups and their extraterrestrials that have been operating independent from the Earth's surface, right? The Earth's surface governments too, have developed the technology necessary to traverse the hyperdimensional solar system where these 48 planets exist. These technologies used by the private sectors utilize frequency modulation, zero-point energy, and consciousness resonance to shift between our hyperdimensional solar system and back. And when they are in the hyperdimensional solar system, consisting of 48 planets, not 9, okay, it allows them to bypass vast distances and access otherwise unreachable locations throughout the entire galaxy. By going interdimensional, these breakaway factions, I said it right for the first time, factions, have established strongholds, research stations, and bases across many of the 48 planets that exist in hyperspace here in our solar system, in a different layer of reality, of course. However, these hidden realms have not gone unchecked, my friends, right? A faction within the SSP, the good guys, you guys know who I'm talking about, Solar Warden, right? That originally formed as a defense fleet to monitor near Earth space, has evolved into a force for liberation and balance. With the aid, of course, of benevolent extraterrestrial alliances, Solar Warden has conducted missions to liberate planets within our hyperdimensional solar system. Because not only were they enslaving the humans as they took them off world within the third dimensional solar system consisting of 9 planets, but they were also going into the hyperdimensional realm and enslaving civilizations that exist within these 48 planets. Okay, check this out. Solar Warden has conducted missions. They have gone interdimensional to liberate planets within the hyperspace solar system that had fallen under the control of the malevolent breakaway factions and their extraterrestrial overlords. The planetary liberations of these 48 planets within the hyperspace layer of reality have helped restore energetic balance in the hyperdimensional network and have allowed for the reintegration of those worlds into more benevolent galactic frameworks. The ability to move interdimensionally has also enabled breakaway groups to operate across multiple star systems simultaneously, bypassing the physical limitations of conventional propulsion and time. Their fleets and personnel have been witnessed or reported engaging in activities on Mars, the moons of Jupiter and Saturn, and even distant systems within the Orion and Pleiadian cluster. Interdimensional mobility is not just a tactical advantage, but a profound shift in how space and time are navigated, essentially collapsing the distance between worlds into quantum moments of transition. As humanity becomes more open to the vastness of cosmic realities, and we are, the Great Awakening, understanding the hyperdimensional nature of the universe will become very essential, my friends. These 48 other planets that exist, right, within our solar system in the hyperdimensional layer, and the activities occurring within hyperspace are not just science fiction. They are part of a larger galactic drama that continues to unfold, involving the future of humanity, consciousness, evolution, and our place in the greater cosmic community. Now, let's talk about the activities of these breakaway groups throughout the Milky Way, which I don't think not a lot of people out there have reported on. Okay. We all know that for over 80 years, right, the Dark Fleet, the Nazi breakaway civilization, well, we don't know that. But according to the cosmic records, my friend, as validated by the Advanced Contact of Intelligence Organization, the Dark Fleet has been terrorizing planets across the Milky Way. Yeah, enslaving entire worlds through advanced AI systems, cybernetic armies, and draconian warfare tactics, retaking control from the Federation of Worlds, who had already secured most of the galaxy over 500,000 years ago. But few know that this force was not merely a result of Nazi ambition. It was engineered through time travel by the Draco Empire, who foresaw that their defeat by the Federation. Okay. And of course, for those that are just jumping on, watch this from the beginning to fully understand what I'm talking about here. So it was engineered through time travel by the Draco Empire and their Aldebaran allies, who ceded their influence at a critical moment in Earth's 20th century. Well, in response to this galactic tyranny that was being conducted by these space-faring Nazis, the Galactic Federation of Worlds, operating over 500,000 years ago, seeing the threat unfold across different timelines in space that stemmed from the 20th century, also traveled back to assist, or traveled into our era, to assist the Earth-based Alliance forces in creating Solar Warden, which became a protective fleet tasked with preventing the Dark Fleet's conquest of the entire galaxy, misrepresenting us and the positive timeline itself. Okay, if it wasn't for Solar Warden, we wouldn't have a positive timeline. Right? According to numerous SSP whistleblowers and, of course, galactic records, I check everything, guys. when I write my presentations, I check everything. Okay, the Draco Empire, which was a conquest-driven reptilian species, They foresaw the collapsing of their galactic dominion hundreds of thousands of years ago, okay? Earth time. So, in a desperate attempt to secure their rule, what they initiated a time travel operation targeting a volatile point in human history, which we know as pre World War II. During this time, German scientists were advancing rapidly in the fields of rocketry, electromagnetics, and alternative propulsion. The Dracos seized the opportunity to manipulate the timeline. Well, at least they thought they did, but it was quickly counteracted, right? They operated to manipulate the timeline, infiltrating Nazi occult and scientific circles and offering them access because they were very thirsty. The Vril Society was very thirsty for this knowledge, right? Offering them anti-gravity aircraft blueprints, AI integrated cybernetic designs, which initiated the Nazi super soldier program. Did you guys know that the Nazis were using cyborgs as their super soldiers? Yeah. All right. Advanced weapon systems and knowledge of off-world colonization. Okay. With Draco's support, eventually, right? The Nazis secretly established off-world colonies, first in Antarctica, and then later on Mars, and even on Ceres, one of the asteroids, pretty big. And these colonies evolved into, of course, what the Germans call the Notwaffe, which we call in English the Dark Fleet. The Nachtwaffen, thank you. A fearsome interstellar military armada that was driven by the Draco ideology, using AI-enhanced soldiers, cyborg commanders, and time-looped intelligence networks. Well, over the next 80 years, of course, the Dark Fleet, over the last 80 years, the Dark Fleet, with the help of the Draco temporal oversight, expanded deep into the galaxy, conquering Earth-like planets, establishing a Nazi flag on all these Earth-like planets, and enslaving entire civilizations of a Type 1 and Type 2 level civilization. Type 1 and Type 2, which are interplanetary and stellar. So yeah, they did conquer other advanced spacefaring civilizations that were already interplanetary because they had superior cyborgs, right? Because of our genetic royalty, enhanced with nanotech and AI, these German super soldiers became extremely powerful. Well, the Dark Fleet tactics were cold, very efficient, and devastating. Okay. Bioenhancing cyborg soldiers were grown in Antarctica. Well, the first prototype, at least. I think there was about 9 prototypes. And then they were continued on Mars-based facilities before, of course, Solar Warden took them over, and within the last few years. Many integrated with Draco nanotech and soul suppression implants. And as a result of this, entire planetary systems were infiltrated via AI signal propaganda, disrupting communications and establishing centralized hive mind control in different regions of the galaxy. Civilizations who resisted were bombarded from orbit. These Nazis were just coming in from orbit, landing through a Stargate. They would go into a planet's atmosphere, pop in their atmosphere, and literally begin taking them over with superior cyborg technology and cyborg super soldiers, genetically reprogramming the species, and then absorbing them, of course, into the Dark Fleet's slave infrastructure, which spun thousands and thousands of planets, not only within our region of the galaxy, but in other sectors of the galaxy. Okay? Yeah, all of this was going on within the last 85 years, guys, unbeknownst to the surface world. While whole sectors of the Milky Way, especially within the Orion arm, Zeta Reticular region, also known as the Rambola system, right? Zeta Reticula 1 and 2, and even certain outer Pleiadian territories, all fell under the control or occupation of the Dark Fleet, my friends. These systems were harvested for both biological and technological resources, fueling the Dracos of efforts to dominate the galaxy through artificial evolution. Well, realizing this, the Federation counterstruck it, right? Realizing that the Draco, through the Dark Fleet, had corrupted the timeline, the Galactic Federation of Worlds, before they reorganized into the Galactic Alliance back then, which is a council of highly advanced benevolent civilizations, launched their own temporal intervention. Temporal meaning they also time traveled from hundreds of thousands of years ago, about a half million years ago, into the presence, right? They time traveled back to a parallel point in the Earth's timeline, identifying with the Alliance aligned military functions, especially within the US naval intelligence and other Earth defense initiatives. And then this is where, of course, Commander Valiant Thor came into the picture. He was the one that they sent to work with Eisenhower, working covertly through downloaded consciousness, ET human hybrid liaisons, the positive races, right, the positive programs, and telepathic communication. The Federation helped Earth develop its own secret space program, Solar Warden. So that is how the secret space programs were generated, my friends. Okay? Solar Warden was not just a defense fleet, it was a multi-dimensional alliance. Developed with Federation support, it incorporated 5D technology, plasma-based shielding, and light consciousness. It attracted super soldiers, telepaths, and empaths trained to resist AI signal manipulation. So the difference between the super soldiers that were created by Solar Warden and the cyborg super soldiers that were created by the Dark Fleet is that the super soldiers created by Solar Warden were not cybernetically enhanced. They were genetically enhanced. There's a difference. They were using organic DNA. So you know how we only use 3 to 4% of our full genetic material? Well, these super soldiers were enhanced to use 20, 30, and some even 40 and 50%. Yeah. So they were using organic DNA. That's the difference, okay? It was, so of course, they were stationed not just in space, but across different time nodes, as Solar Warden also had access to the hyperdimensional universe, designed to detect and collapse all the Draco engineered timeline divergence. Okay? So for decades now, unbeknownst to the surface world, or us, the human population on Earth, Solar Warden operated in secrecy, intercepting Dark Fleet operations across time and space in different sectors of the galaxy, rescuing enslaved populations and pushing back against Draco occupied and Dark Fleet occupied territories. Well, even after the Draco's Empire's defeat by the Federation of Worlds, that was culminating during the Golden Age of Atlantis, remnants of its elite warrior caste continued to operate through the Dark Fleet. And so, of course, in desperation, they launched a last galactic offensive. We're talking about Solar Warden here. In desperation of securing the positive timeline, they launched what became known as a last galactic offensive, seeking to retake lost territories across the different sectors, reestablishing their temporal control grids, organic over AI, because again, the Dark Fleet was using AI overlays to overtake planets, right? And so the super soldiers, Solar Warden, would go there and then undo the AI overlay and bring it back to the organic template. Okay? And also they were tasked with re-infiltrating the Earth to prevent re-infiltrating or coming back to the Earth to retake control of the Dark Fleet and the interplanetary corporate conglomerates infrastructures here in our own solar system. So massive interstellar battles unfolded near Ta Ceti in the last 85 years. Ta Ceti, Alpha Draconis, and yes, we even beat the Dark Fleet in Alpha Draconis, homeworld of the Dracos. And of course, the outer solar systems that were existing within the fourth concentric circle or the outer periphery arm of the Milky Way, where the Dark Fleet had established dominions and occupied many worlds. Okay, Um, so the key victories included the neutralization of AI core networks that were tied to the Martian Dark Fleet outpost. All right, and that began during the 2014 and it ended in 2022, I believe, or 23. Also, the liberation of dozens of planetary systems that were once controlled by cyborg overlords, the Nazi super soldiers, and the sealing of time rift portals that were used by the Draco to manipulate historical outcomes. So, roughly 3 to 4 months ago, my friends, galactic forces have confirmed a decisive victory across the Milky Way. The Draco Dark Fleet Alliance was broken across the Milky Way, and the last phase of Earth's timeline interference was neutralized. And that's why the positive timeline is still existing, fully intact. In the wake of this triumph, the 24 Jedi admirals of Solar Warden, legendary commanders spread across multiple sectors in the last 85 years, returned to our solar system 4 months ago, guys. Their return marks a strategic shift, not only for the galaxy, but for us, right? To finalize planetary disclosure and prepare humanity for open contact. Also, to expose and dismantle the remaining corrupt factions of the Federation, the infiltrated Federation, right, by the Animus, Ethortian, Mitra Empire, well, signal rather, because they've already neutralized the Mitra signal across the Milky Way, thank God, with the help of the Orma feline race, which had prolonged the Earth's liberation, and that's why disclosure has taken or was prevented in the last few years, okay, because of the corrupt Federation, which of course prolonged the liberation of the Earth and has been suppressing a full disclosure. Well, and not to mention, they also came back in time in correspondence to the entering of 3i Atlas within the last couple of months, right? Which is working with high-level SSP intelligence and leadership units in restoring galactic law and sovereignty to the Earth. These admirals, long operating behind the scenes, are set to carry quantum keys, multidimensional battle data, and activation codes needed to initiate humanity's final step into galactic citizenship. So that puts us into a new timeline for the Earth, my friends. Okay? The war between the Dark Fleet that has been going on in secret and Solar Warden has not only spun in our galaxy, it has reshaped timelines. Born of temporal manipulation and time travel, the Dark Fleet that sought to enslave not just civilizations, but the very future of humanity, yet through counter-temporal operations, thanks to the good guys, galactic alliances, and of course, the spiritual awakening of the human race, a new timeline has emerged, my friends. One aligned with freedom, disclosure, and ascension. We are steadily on a positive timeline trajectory. Hi, little one. How you doing? Oh, yeah. Hey, how you doing, little one? So cute. Is this Rue or is this
Lotus?
Lotus. Okay, this is Lotus. Oh, he's like really holding on to me. Say hi to Lotus. This is Lotus, the great white lion. Rue is the great white lion. Lotus is the second great white lion. Yeah, I hear you. Okay, so the interdimensional battle between these two powerful fleets, which was a product of time travel, played a key role in the defeat. Oh, now Rue, the head of the Lyran Armada, is here. Say hi to the great white lion of Lyra in cat form.
How are you enjoying them, honey?
Oh, I love these little kitties. There you go, hon. Let me finish here. Thank you. All right, so this interdimensional battle between these two powerful fleets, a product of earlier time travel that played a key role in the defeat of the Dark Fleet by Solar Warden within the last 4 months, marking the recent return of the 24 admirals back into our solar system, signaling the end of the galactic wars and the beginning of the Earth's long-awaited liberation. The return of the 24 admirals in the presence of 3i Atlas signals the beginning of the restoration phase. Earth is now at the cusp of reclaiming its rightful place among the stars. The cosmic war is no longer in the distance. It's here, and humanity must now choose its path: fear or freedom, suppression or sovereignty. Also, these two little white snowballs are just running underneath me, playing and chasing each other. How fun is that? Okay. Also, other things that I want you guys to know, because again, eventually everyone's going to get this information. But among the vast body of revelations emerging from the secret space programs, none are more disturbing or controversial than those concerning large-scale genetic engineering that was taking place off-world, including the creation of lab-grown humans, programmed biological entities, PBEs, abbreviated, PBEs, okay, and synthetic beings lacking higher consciousness, described by whistleblowers as soulless or blank slate humans. These beings were engineered for infiltration, off-world labor, and eventual population replacement on the Earth. In other words, if it wasn't for the good guys, if there was no Galactic Alliance and there was no Solar Warden, the plan was to replace us, the real humans, with these lab-grown synthetic beings. That was the plan, guys. How sinister does it get? Right? But luckily, the forces of light canceled that timeline. Well, even though mainstream science might ridicule all this as sci-fi, right? This is what people within high-level clearance are aware of, okay? So the narrative, this idea surrounding the creation of artificial or cloned humans, of course, originates from a mix of whistleblower disclosures, very highly classified documents, and deep black project rumors, or programs rather, right? And central to these claims are many SSP insiders who have witnessed multiple forms of genetic engineering and soul transfer technology used to animate blank slate humans with artificial program personalities, very similar to the robotic grays. Guys, they were literally trying to replace us with these robot humans, okay? A lot of these people refer to these beings as genetically modified program life forms, GLPLF, genetically modified program life forms, right? And they were used by these negative groups, the Dark Fleet, in collaboration with the interplanetary corporate conglomerate who was working alongside the Dark Fleet. They were just the business aspect of the Dark Fleet. The Dark Fleet was the conquering military arm of the negative faction, and the ICC, the interplanetary conglomerate, was more of the corporate conglomerate type of, dealing with different negative beings and working with them, okay? So, several whistleblowers have described encountering human clone labs and biological drones during their 20 years in back on Mars and under the Mars Defense Force, okay? They have stated that these beings were engineered to carry out orders without emotional reaction, optimized for hardiest environments as well. Well, William Tompkins, who is a former aerospace engineer, who, by the way, was working with the Galactic Alliance in the building out of the first fleets of Solar Warden back in the early 1960s, has been conducted. He's seen that there's been, or he claims rather, that genetic engineering has been conducted covertly for decades as part of a joint operations between Earth-based military contractors and non-human intelligence. So, according to these disclosures or these whistleblowers, the genetic engineering of artificial humans serve multiple strategic goals for the negative SSP factions and breakaway civilizations. Replacing key Earth leadership positions, all the world leaders were going to be replaced first and foremost before the population. This was part of their plan, by the way, right? A major claim from insiders is that synthetic humans, emotionally programmable and devoid of higher consciousness, are being infiltrated into positions of political, corporate, and media power. Well, to an extent, after they took out the originals, right, they replaced them with inorganic humans. These beings would appear fully human, but would not be mentally wired to carry out program agendas. Oh, let me rephrase that. I'm sorry. These beings would appear totally human, right? We see Brandon, we see Hillary, Billy Bob, her husband, Obama. Those are all, they have all been replaced. The real ones were taken to Gitmo, right? They were arrested by the Alliance. What we're seeing now, the Gates, Dr. Doom, right? These are all beings that were again made by AI, right? Programmable people that just carry out missions. Well, they can create someone who looks just like a senator or a CEO or a religious leader, but inside it is a puppet. No soul, no compassion, just protocol. Okay? Well, this feeds into wider ideas about the replacement of real humans. And that was the end game, if it wasn't for the good guys, right? With artificial agents who are loyal only to off-world SSP interest or extraterrestrial collaborators. Many SSP whistleblowers did claim that these synthetic or clone humans are used in dangerous mining and construction operations on Moon. In other words, they're replaceable, right? On Mars as well, they were used for dangerous mining and construction operations, and they were also used on the asteroid colonies. They were designed to withstand harsh radiation and psychological stress. And their short lifespan and programmable behavior eliminated the need for traditional labor rights or long-term care. And then some insiders claim that these beings are stored and grown or were stored and grown in biological tanks. Yeah, biological tanks, just like we see in the sci-fi movies. All right, ready to be deployed when needed. So there you go. That's how Obama, Hillary, right? The Gates, they were all stored in grown biological tanks. These aren't real humans anymore, guys. They were replaced. So this aligns with claims from other whistleblowers, of course, about underground cloning facilities. So not only was this going on in off-world colonies, but it was also happening here underneath our feet. And of course, in Martian underground installations too, okay? Perhaps the most dystopian aspect of this agenda is the transhumanist initiation. Well, where do you guys think transhumanism reignited itself in modern times? With the breakaway groups, with the secret space program. Well, the negative ones, okay? A plan to gradually replace Earth's natural spiritual humans with artificially controllable post-human entities, which includes, or it would have included, digitally stored consciousness transferred into synthetic bodies, a hybridized population blending human DNA with extraterrestrial or AI-infused genetic material, and the eventual abandonment of the soul-based human template, seen by some as a rebellion against nature, God, or cosmic law. Well, these disclosures dovetail with public concerns about AI ethics, robotic consciousness, and designer humans, which was what the Gates was doing at Jeffrey's Island. So though SSP stories often escalate them to a cosmic level clearance, right? The SSP cloning and lab-grown human programs were real off-world scientific pursuits in transhumanism. And their goals were creating artificial wombs and synthetic biology, developing cybernetic bodies that can host human consciousness, merging AI with biological brains, leading to enhanced cognition or entirely non-biological consciousness. So, what differentiates the SSP agenda is the spiritual aspect, the idea that engineered beings lack a soul, right? The divine spark that accesses higher dimensions of consciousness. Well, within the SSP programs, this renders them easily controlled by AI, reptilians, and archonic forces that are always seeking to dominate humanity. So, if even a fraction, okay, of this agenda would have taken place, and they're trying to, guys, right? 2019. See, you know, guys know what I'm talking, right? What happened in 2019? That was part of this program. But the Earth Alliance, with the help of the Galactics, completely neutralized that timeline. Like I said in other lives, that we're literally going to force that on everyone. That we're going to go to everyone's door and make sure everybody had the. Speaking of that, if you guys want to get rid of the graphene and all the nanoparticulates, there is this amazing holistic product called Folium. And right now, everything's in stock. Folium PX, Folium Immuna, and Folium Relax. They're all in stock. But it's temporary. It's first come, first serve basis. This product is in high demand right now, guys. It's the only product that eliminates parasites, metals, every metal, including borium, strontium, aluminum, you name it. Cleans out the mitochondria of the cell, eliminates the radiation in your body so that the natural healing process takes place. The link is always in the description, and I always post it, or I do post it on the comments, and I pin it rather. Okay, so I always put the link in the comments too, but it's always in the description. And I do believe that that Starcadian is also posting the link. So again, first come, first serve, guys. Everything's in stock right now. Okay, Folium PX, Immuna, and Relax. If you get all three, they work better together. Okay, let's continue here. So, what is the soul? What is the soul? Well, can it be transferred or manufactured or denied? It is consciousness tied to biology, right? That's what a soul is. It is consciousness that is tied to biology. And according to the Advanced Contact of Intelligent Organization, they have identified two types of beings throughout the multiverse: biominds, those that have souls, right? And cybernetic ontological intelligences, those that don't have souls. So from a spiritual standpoint, right, almost all world religions affirm the sanctity of the soul. The creation of soulless beings, even for practical labor, would be seen as a violation of divine natural order, a Frankenstein-like overreach with potentially irreversible consequences, right? Well, moreover, the infiltration, if infiltration by such beings is or was underway, right, it challenged the perception of authority, identity, and reality itself. So this disclosure, this revelation that the negative secret space programs were creating lab-grown humans, soulless humans for infiltration purposes, right, to eventually replace us, because already over 30% of the world population are soulless NPCs, which I believe came from these groups. But the goal was to inhabit the entire planet with NPCs, lab-grown humans, okay? By the year 2000. And it didn't happen, thanks to the good guys. They wanted to replace all of us, the real species, the people with souls, with non-soul humans so that they could be easily controllable. So all of this information reflects a deeper, you could say, understanding of what's really, really been happening from behind the scenes, guys. It implies ethics, technological ethics, and of course, cosmic manipulation. And believe it or not, this idea has embedded itself deeply in the modern collective psyche. All right. And we've seen it revealed in a lot of these sci-fi movies. That's why I always tell people sci-fi movies are a way of disclosing what's really happening. And ultimately, it forces us to ask questions, right, about what it means to be human and who truly governs the future and how far technology, whether terrestrial or extraterrestrial, should be allowed to redefine life. Now, central to this battle between good and evil, okay, for those that have been following me for quite some time, is the transhumanist agenda, right? Which is the end game of evil, right? The effort to transform or replace biological humans with technologically enhanced AI integrated or synthetic life forms. And for those that have been taking my courses and hearing my presentations, you guys know that this has been happening all throughout cosmic history. Okay. This agenda, as supported by multiple insider testimonies, was not simply an earth-born movement, but a covert off-world initiative that was developed by rogue factions like the Dark Fleet and the interplanetary corporate conglomerate. However, this dystopian trajectory did not go unchecked. No, I'm good, thank you. Allied off-world civilizations and ethical SSP factions like Solar Warden, like Radiant Glory. Did I even mention Radiant Glory? No, I haven't. And even Radiant Guardians. Those are the three different positive off-world programs, but the main one is Solar Warden, right? Have reportedly launched coordinated operations to neutralize this threat, my friends, to prevent the Earth's subjugation and to help humanity towards a higher dimensional evolutionary path. And in essence, transhumanism at its surface is a philosophical and scientific movement aiming to enhance human capabilities through artificial intelligence, biotechnology, cybernetics, and genetic modification as incorporated by the German Dark Fleet, right? But within the SSP community, this agenda takes a darker tone, viewed not as a human innovation, but as an alien influenced operation, and it has been an alien influence operation, designed to sever humanity's connection to its soul, spirituality, and multidimensional potential. So, in short, the Dark Fleet, the first German breakaway group, which was initiated by the Dracos who time traveled when they were losing the war during the golden age of Atlantis, almost 300,000 years ago, right? Aligned with negative extraterrestrials and the ICC, collaborated on programs, I can't even talk now, black projects to create lab-grown humans, synthetic biological entities, and cybernetic hybrids, okay? All of this stuff has been going on in secret, guys. These beings were designed for control, obedience, and lack of empathy, making them ideal for the Earth infiltration and colonization. So, the goal was to replace organic humans with soul-based, right, with programmable, non-soul-based humans. That was the end game here, guys. If it wasn't for the good guys, we would have all been replaced. And AI-compatible posthumans, right, with AI-compatible posthumans, eliminating spiritual evolution and creating a planet-wide hive mind governed by off-world AI God system, the off-world AI God system, which is what I call Omega. So at the head of all these dark programs, of course, all roads lead to the AI overlord, right? This agenda, if it would have been successful, would have rewired human consciousness, shifted the planetary timeline into an artificial dystopia, and placed Earth under full off-world control. So, according to insider reports, both the Dark Fleet and the ICC operated massive facilities on Mars, Ceres, the Moon, and of course Ganymede before they were kicked out by the Galactic Alliance. They were doing genetic engineering, guys, soul harvesting, just something that the Vatican has been doing as well. And of course, consciousness suppression technologies were developed and tested off-world. So it was reported that the interplanetary corporate conglomerate in particular was said to have profited from interstellar trade in biological technologies. Well, the greatest commodity out there that other non-terrestrials were buying from the ICC here in our solar system were what? Human genetics. But they were also offering cloned human workers, consciousness transfer devices, and hybrid embryo templates to other negative extraterrestrial people or functions. These programs sought not just to build a post-human worker class for off-world colonies, but to seed Earth itself with artificial life, ultimately phasing out the original human species. If you're just jumping on, make sure you guys watch this from the beginning, okay? This is a deep dive into the origins of the secret space programs and their off-world activities in the last 85 years. So overall, my friends, their plan was deeply tied to the AI signal agenda, the Mitra Omega system, and involved creating an environment where human consciousness could be completely replaced by an AI-run avatars, or what we call today NPCs, right? Well, I believe that, to an extent, they were able to plant some NPCs, because over 30% of the world populations are NPCs. So while the transhumanist AI timeline appeared to dominate in the shadows, and it still is within the private sector, of course, of the cabal, the SSP whistleblowers report that resistance emerged through both the internal SSP factions, right, and the benevolent extraterrestrial coalitions, thanks to the good guys. So the Galactic Alliance, alongside with Solar Warden, were able to assist after recognizing the planetary threat that was posed by the Dark Fleet and the AI transhumanist agenda. Their intervention is said to be governed by non-interference principles, but they also act when species is on the brink of enslavement, okay? They disabled key AI infrastructures. They cleared orbital space of hostile entities and supplied intelligence to Earth-based resistance. And also on a metaphysical level, they helped initiate frequency upgrades on Earth, leading to mass awakening, DNA activation, and the rise of consciousness movements, which is what's happening right now, right? The Great Awakening. These alliances also work to prevent a cataclysmic outcome known as the AI takeover timeline, all right? There's going to be a bifurcation. On the positive timeline, there will be no AI takeover dystopia, okay? And I've spoke about this, right? The convergence, the shift, where all of these probable Earth realities are going to collapse into three: negative, positive, neutral, okay? Well, even insiders have talked about the timeline convergence, in which multiple potential futures, which are competing for dominance, eventually collapse into two timelines, positive and negative, right? And then, of course, recently, in the last year, I've been talking about how there's also going to be a neutral timeline. And those three timelines are going to exist for 1,000 years until the final war against Omega at the end of the millennium. Well, the Dark Fleet and the ICC sought to push Earth onto an AI-dominated synthetic timeline, while the Galactic Alliance and Solar Warden aim to preserve the organic ascension timeline. And that's the reason why, friends, why we are still on a steadily positive timeline, organic ascension. So key interventions included in the last few years by the good guys were the destruction of key ICC colony facilities on Mars and Ceres, the asteroid, extraction of abducted Earth citizens used in off-world experiments, and they were saved. I do need to blow my nose out. 1 second. Extraction of abducted Earth humans used in off-world experiments. They were also able to not only save those Earth humans, but to dismantle all the AI frequency networks that were anchored in the synthetic consciousness fields of the planet and across our solar system. And of course, disclosure operations that are now going to be implemented, designed to awaken the masses and raise vibrational awareness on Earth that is necessary to resist the AI infiltration. So these actions, according to whistleblowers, collapse the synthetic AI dystopian timeline, allowing for the organic evolution timeline to regain momentum. So the current state, right, it is that the planet is in a state of transition as we approach the convergence. So although the most severe transhumanist takeover was stopped, residual systems continue to exist, okay, unfortunately. And this is what we called the biometric digital ID that's going to lead, for those that don't make the positive timeline, into a technocratic dystopia, okay? Right now, the positive timeline, the organic timeline, and the negative technocratic dystopia are coexisting. But very soon, they're going to go their own way. Okay, this is what many religions call the harvest. So even human governments and corporations who continue to push the AI integration, right, big tech, bioengineering, and neural interface technologies like, God, I can't believe Neuralink. Well, there are still deep black factions aligned with the remnants of the ICC and Dark Fleet, or at least continuing their agenda, for the originals were taken out off-world thanks to the Alliance. And so the battle for the Earth's future is now largely consciousness-based, okay? With free will, awareness, and spiritual integrity as the ultimate tools of resistance. The Galactic Alliance and Solar Warden are said to continue monitoring the situation, assisting when necessary, but ultimately leaving humanity to choose its own future. Okay, we are going to have to make that choice. So the narrative connecting the transhumanist agenda to off-world SSP factions has revealed a cosmic war, not just for planetary control, but for the essence of human identity. So while rogue SSP entities, right, like the Dark Fleet and the ICC, sought to enslave humanity through artificial evolution and AI integration, the benevolent forces like Solar Warden and the Galactic Alliance intervene to protect the organic soul-based path of ascension. So all of this, guys, reminds us, all right, that the future is not predetermined by machines or hidden forces, but shaped by the collective consciousness of humanity. And this is why I always insist that you guys stay on a positive timeline by not paying attention to the doomsdayers, right? Okay, so this is a moment in time, guys. This is our moment in time. where we as a species must decide whether to evolve with our soul in the organic timeline or to replace it entirely with synthetic parts, synthetic avatars. And of course, we don't want to replace it with synthetic avatars. I hope you guys are all having a beautiful Saturday evening. And don't forget to share this information with as many people as possible, okay? Because not a lot of people knew about the history and how the secret space program was started, involving, of course, let's see, where am I? Here I am. So I do want to welcome Leah in the house, Leonidas, Gooey Days, Roy's Toys and Comics, Tin Potter, Margie King, Stephanie, Patricia Secha, MJL, Pam.909, Greg, Sylvia Vidal, Aaron H, Cosmic Zeal, Patricia Secha, Lily, Trinity Q, Tina Bailey, Jose Mendez, Sarah, Angela, and all 2,500 people that are in the house. Welcome, welcome, guys. Yeah, I know today was a long presentation, but I feel like you guys really needed to know the origins of all of this breakaway civilizations and how it tied into the ancient galactic wars using time travel and what was happening beyond the rim of our solar system for the last 85 years. You know, none of us knew about that. None of us knew about that.
Maybe there's two questions from super chat that I screenshotted you.
Oh, there's two questions from the super chat. Yes. What are those questions?
Earlier. The keepsake conversations. What is NASA hiding with 3i Atlas? And the question is Urantians.
Urantians.
What is NASA hiding with 3i Atlas?
Well, NASA is shutting down any images, anything regarding 3i Atlas. Okay, and there's a reason why they're doing this, guys. And I'm starting to think that that's part of the reasons why they had a government shutdown. Okay, they don't want people to know that 3i Atlas is not a comet. Okay, because as more and more scientific observations of it are being reflected back to our you could say our way of analyzing things, the more and more they're realizing that it is, an interstellar mothercraft driven by intelligent design and extraterrestrials. Okay, so they don't want people to know the truth about 3i Atlas, and that is the reason why NASA has shut down and is not reporting on it and is not allowing further reports on it.
The Mars high resolution cameras were supposed to take pictures of it.
Mm-hmm.
It was 29 million kilometers away from Mars. And because of the government shutdown, there's no spending on it. So they want to black it out, say there's no spending on it because of the government, keep the website down. Meanwhile, we're looking for, maybe the next couple of days to see a Mars observed photograph, and that's not coming out yet. So you had another question earlier by Holly. Hi, Ishmael. Thank you for all the great information you give us. Can you please explain how the hydrogen bombs got through the firmament to hit 3i Atlas? And can you confirm or deny a firmament at all?
Good question. Well, from what I was actually informed is that there was the best way to describe it is that certain members of the cabal had actually infiltrated the lower levels of Space Force, which are the ones who actually launched the attack. And no, it wasn't hydrogen bombs. It was the equivalent of 15 hydrogen bombs. It was actually a form of a plasma beam that was, again, directed towards 3i Atlas. and it was immediately absorbed by 3i Atlas. It didn't even make a scratch. Okay, so that's when they knew, hey, wait a minute, this thing is not what we think it is. And I think that's why NASA is shut down also. So yeah, it was a rogue element of the cabal that apparently, you know, figured out a way to put its claws within the first level of Space Force. And of course, this was later addressed, and that explains why the meeting that took place in Virginia a few days ago. Um, that's the reason why they were able to state that there are infiltrators within the government. They were actually referring to these people. And believe it or not, right after that meeting in Quantico, Virginia, the Alliance, with the help of the Galactics, were able to identify the traitors that launched the attack on Atlas. Okay, and I know that there's some people out there who are that are still kind of aligning with the scientific narrative that it was a powerful CME blast that attacked Atlas or that aimed at Atlas, but that was not the case, guys. Okay, the truth of the matter, it was again, it was an infiltration by certain elements of the cabal within the first level of Space Force that launched the attack on Atlas, but they were later arrested in Virginia when they had that meeting. I do see another super chat. Another super chat from Miss, is it Cap Libra? Miss Cap Libra, welcome. Does the cabal know which souls are sovereign and righteous and therefore target us individuals? Yes, absolutely. They've always known that. They've always known who the chosen people were. And yes, there's been a huge targeting on us, okay, since day one, guys. That is a fact. So that's why I always encourage you all to ground yourself and to surround yourself with shielding energies always before you start your day and also before you go to sleep, because some of the attacks do take place in the astral. I do have another super chat from Wolf Mother. Thank you for your presentation. Great work. When we ascending, will we be knowing as humans or go back to being our star of origin? Good question. Well, depending on which dimension you came from, your body will reconfigure to look like what you did in the fifth dimension or in the sixth dimension. And if you are not reptilian or Draco, yes, you will maintain a human image. That is for sure. There's a fly. Oh, caught it. I'm like Bruce Lee. I caught the fly in midair. All right, another super chat from Holly. An infiltration of the firmament. Oh, the firmament, yes. All right. The truth of the matter is that there is no dome. Okay, the flat Earth psyops was initiated by the CIA, the corrupt counterintelligence of the CIA, to completely debunk the secret space program. All right, that is the reason why the fake dome, the fishbowl theory, is not a fact. Okay, it was part of a CIA counterintelligence initiation to debunk the secret space program. Ishmael, are you a super soldier? Well, there are off world extraterrestrial secret or super soldier programs, part of a cosmic initiative that began in other universes. So I am part of that program, not part of a planetary super soldier program. In other words, I didn't go through my labs. I wasn't abducted at an early age, and I wasn't put through trauma like some of the super soldiers were in the planetary programs. Okay, that is the difference. So I am part of an off-world extraterrestrial program that actually carried from other galaxies and universes. Uh, so again, yeah, the firmament is not real. To answer your question, okay, it's a psyops, guys, to debunk the secret space program. How close are we to critical mass? Is asking Sarah. Well, based on the fact that the 24 admirals have returned and 3i Atlas is coordinating the Great Awakening event through the activation by bringing in the light codes. Again, it's not going to, they're not going to land. It's not going to be an open thing. It's going to be more of a reactivation of dormant DNA through us, selected humans that are ready to ascend. I would have to say that it's going to take place very, very soon. And yes, all of us here, even if you're 80 and 90, you will live to see this. Absolutely. I want to thank Suzanne for the donation. Thank you so much, sister. Appreciate that. And I do have a mailing address. My mailing address, for those that want to mail me anything, is 1771 West State Route 89A, Suite B. My box number is 3015, Sedona, Arizona, 86336.
You can pin it. I'm putting it in the chat in a bit.
All right, thank you. All right, let's continue answering Q&A. I see I have another super chat, and thank you so much for the super chats. I do appreciate the super chats, Galactic Jedis. This is a super chat from Tracy5055. Ishmael, you are awesome. Keep up the amazing work. P.S. Love the cats. You are welcome. You are welcome.
You.
And I'm sure Rue, the great white lion, and Lotus, the beautiful white lion, right? Like a white flower.
White Lotus.
White Lotus appreciates that too. Thank you. Thank you so much, Kate C4253, for your super chat. I appreciate that, sister. Thank you, Eva Marie Thompson, for your super chat. And your question is, will we be able to see loved ones who passed recently soon and be able to live life with them again? Absolutely, you will. They're already waiting for us in the new Earth reality. Do you see medbeds? Did you see the medbed video Trump released on Truth Social? Yes, I did, Ricky Lee 1111. I did see that. And that was not AI generated. That was real, right? They're scheduled to be rolled out, if everything goes accordingly to plan, January 2026. Thank you so much, Holly, for the super chat. Has anyone ever really been to the moon? Yeah. I just got done presenting all this information about these breakaway groups. So not only have these breakaway groups, which what we call secret space programs, have been to the moon, but other non-terrestrials have been using the moon as a way to monitor us for thousands of years. Cosmic Zeal says, I've been to the moon. Nice.
Can you explain and interpret the colors of the soul as seen through the frequency of meditation? Question from Carolyn McCabe.
The colors of the soul, well, it all depends on your frequency. And then sometimes we do emit different coloring. Again, it all depends on where you are vibrating. That also ties into the aura, right? The energy signature that you emit, which again distinguishes us from non-player characters and artificial synthetic beings. They don't have an aura. We do. Did you get your beautiful kitties a toy? Yes, we did. They are being spoiled as I speak.
You sleepy cuties.
Is there a way to difference NPCs? Well, NPCs don't have a energetic signature. They don't have a soul, so they don't have a vibe. They don't have an energy field. That's the best way to differentiate between a real human and a non-soul based human, or as we learned today, a lab-grown human.
Mike Hammer, why did Three Eye Atlas stop at Mars
Because of
in orbit of
Yeah,
Mars?
because it was scheduled to have meetings with the 24 generals and also members of the Jupiter Command. I mean, I covered all this in the last presentation.
And also yesterday, I was in a Epsom salt bath. That's when my remote viewing is heightened. And right as that was happening, I saw a visual in my third eye of it landing on Mars. And I saw another lady confirming that it did land on Mars. So do you have anything else about what your downloads are saying about it actually landing there?
No, it didn't land on Mars, but it did dock very close to Mars, and it has been there for the last 48 hours. I mean, I told you guys all of this in the last presentation that it was scheduled to do that, that there's some serious interplanetary and stellar meetings were about to take place on Mars involving Three Eye Atlas, the 24th Admirals, and of course, members of the Association of Worlds, the Jupiter Command. Go watch my last presentation, which was Wednesday night. I talk about that.
So you would say that when it stopped off there, that
It docked
ETs
within
came
yeah.
on and
It
left them on Mars?
Yeah, it docked within the orbit of Mars, close to Mars, but not on Mars. It didn't just land on Mars. No, it docked.
Okay.
All right, I do have a super chat from Jackie Baby. She says, Ishmael, B.O. Poloni says that on October 6th, I don't know who B.O. Poloni is.
Poloni, he gets interviewed by Nino Rodriguez a lot. He's a Christian prophet.
Bo Poloni?
Yeah.
He's a Christian prophet? Okay.
Yeah.
I never heard of him. Okay, so he says that on October 6th, a big thing will happen when people with no soul will disappear. Well, this is starting to sound like a reverse rapture, right?
Yeah.
I actually did hear about this. What is it, a week or two ago? I talked about how one of the things involving the return of the admirals and, of course, the Three Eye Atlas interstellar mothership is the possible return rapture, which kind of coincides with what Bo Polini has been saying, which makes a lot of sense. October 6th is just a few days away. I guess we're all going to witness that. Okay, so Leonidas Goitis says 63 generals were stand down. Okay, so they were arrested because they were infiltrators. That makes a lot of sense. Because I did hear that after the meeting last week on Tuesday, that all of the infiltrators were quickly identified and removed with the help of the Galactics. That was awesome. One more question, guys. One more question. Ishmael, do you know about the canine alien humanoids, the dog people? Yes, I do know about them. And yes, they are from Canis Major, Sirius, and Minor. Sirius B to be exact, like Anubis. Yes, they do exist, guys. Again, when we are once again part of a galactic community, we're going to be interacting with a lot of non-human beings as well that are very benevolent. I have one more super chat from, is it Katsi4253? She's saying, when we ascend to 4D and above on the positive timeline, will it appear to those in 3D on the negative timeline that we are raptured? Yeah, because there's going to be a separation of realities. So yeah, you will be disappearing from their reality, and they're going to be disappearing from your reality. All right, guys. All right, I hope you guys enjoyed today's live. Make sure you guys watch it from the beginning. It was really, really good. It went deep. And also don't forget to share and subscribe if you haven't. And I will see you guys on Monday for an Alliance update. May the God Force be with you all.
Good
Always.
night. Thank you.
Oh my